if you're going to pick a partner, a man is the driver, is the leader, is the person, the captain of the ship that you're jumping onto. You have to make sure that that ship is going into the direction that you would wish to be in or want to be in.
Do you know what she said when I asked her why she asked me that question? She just went like, "Funa kunipeleka mumu God."
No, that's really important. I think there's ladies out there who just see the lifestyle and they want to jump onto the lifestyle. Oh, he has a nice job, a nice car, a nice house, and they want to, this is the kind of person, because they want to create that perception with their families that this person has the money to take care of me. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today on Mind and Wealth, this is our first episode. I'm here with my friend Chadley, and we're talking about personal growth. Chadley, how are you doing?
I'm good, Augustine. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm feeling good.
Feeling good, yeah?
Yes.
Awesome.
Today, I was talking to a friend, and I was saying, whenever I wake up late, I just feel bad. I just feel like my day is unsettled. What do you think about waking up, and what time do you wake up?
Wow, it's quite interesting when you look at how your mind sort of gets sort of synced, with regards to waking up early in the morning and just planning your day around, how you're gonna spend the entire day productive, and I think for me, I struggle a little bit to sort of plan my day prior. I'd rather sort of, because I'm a night rider, and I'm always working a bit late. And so sometimes, you're getting to bed at about 3 a.m., sometimes 4 in the morning, and the time you just nap a bit, you find yourself waking up at about 10, but when you're gonna maybe look at it in more of planning your day properly, for me, my day starts at about 6 a.m., up and about, prayer definitely, and, kids, get them ready for school and get on the road.
Wow, that's a good contrast to me, because if I can basically adjust my time according to whatever task that is on the table. I can sleep late or wake up early, whatever task that is on the table. But normally, for a normal regular routine, I like to wake up at 4 a.m. and do my reading, read my Bible, do any personal growth books that I'm reading. Right now I'm actually reading, it's called Atomic Habits. Yes, Atomic Habits. That's the one I'm reading at the moment. And I'm almost done with it. But every morning, I just want to have that energy and that information into me, like mind, body, and soul. So after doing the reading, I'll do a couple of exercises, and then I feel fired up, ready for the day. Yeah. So for me, on a regular day, I want to wake up really early. I prefer to plan my day the day before. Although I do want to also go through the plan in the morning to say, well, this is what I'm checking off for the day. Yeah, so that's how it works out for me. Yeah.
Interesting. For me, talking about reading, I think it's a culture that I'm trying to now embrace more proactively. I loved reading, way back, and when I look at my personal development journey, a guy called Paul Meyer has been one of the gurus in personal development, and he's one guy that I've attempted to at least read a few of his books. And one book that talks about attitude, attitude defining everything. Even when you're going to look at your personal growth journey, even when you plan your day, it all begins with your mind being, sort of adjusted with the right attitude in terms of how you're going to plan, and execute your day properly. And I think for me, really reading, getting back to it now, but I spend more time on YouTube,
YouTube,
try to sort of make it more visual. Exactly. Yeah. So for me, YouTube is my play area, and I try by all means to be off social media in terms of Facebook, Instagram, but spend more time on YouTube.
I think, sorry to interrupt you there. I think it's important to know how you learn.
Exactly.
Yeah, for somebody to know how they learn. Some people learn so much visually, watching videos and listening. Some people learn through reading. Some people, it's a mixture of different things. I think that's a very good observation. It's really, when you look at personal growth, I think one of the things that is ignored is personal awareness, self-awareness.
Exactly.
Yeah, are you self-aware? Do you know the kind of person you are? Aside from making it an excuse for you to accept the life you're living, because there are people who say, "Oh, I'm a man, so I should be able to do this. I'm this, I'm that. I was born from a poor family," And it's interesting that I actually found a meme that said, up until 30. The excuse that you were born for, you come from a poor family, should stop, because now you're the family. You're the family now, so you are now the person that is responsible for it.
Absolutely.
And I think that age should even reduce to 25.
25, yeah,
or even less. Speaking of planning, what tips do you would you give somebody to advise them about planning their day? How do you get through your day when you look at planning?
For me, Augustine, pretty much it's about, number one, priorities, yeah? Because, you're going to spend your day, with a goal of being productive, achieving something, at the end of it. And basically, I think it's how you prioritize what is important for you to achieve, and also what goals you've set, in terms of achieving in that particular, day. And when you break down planning, I think planning all begins by you setting up specific goals that you want to achieve. And so everything for me emanates from what you are basically, trying to achieve, and also the objectives that you've set in terms of achieving your goals. And so that for me is quite key. And then if you then break it down to your personal development journey, it's about you being able to basically, I think, setting specific, aspirations. Because we all, aspiring to become better. And if you look at even what we're trying to achieve right now, mind and wealth, developing our minds, getting to a point where we can aspire to become wealthy. And not just wealthy by virtue of having money, but wealthy in terms of the knowledge that you acquire, the interactions that we're having. Exchanging ideas, exchanging information. And I think for me, it all begins by you aspiring for something, great, something good, something that will be satisfying at the end of it. And so even when you're going to plan your day, it's not just coming up, abruptly, like you just woken up and say, okay, today I'm alive, I'm awake, this is how I'll spend my day. But for me, it should be something that should have been, planned, way back. And so even as probably we discuss further, we'll be able to maybe look at, even one of the principles that I talked about, Paul Meyer, has sort of strived to drive. He's late now, but there's something that is called the wheel of life. So you are living life like it's a wheel that is basically spinning. You know what I mean? And so by virtue of that wheel spinning, you also need to strike a balance, in terms of how you live your life. You know what I mean? So
yes. We need to talk about that wheel. We need to talk about that wheel, because I also have I don't know if it's the same wheel, but we will see how it compares. Yeah, that's very interesting. Wow. Before we get into the wheel of life, I just also want to share my planning strategy, when I'm planning my day. And this is also not, probably not the first time people will be hearing this. What I do is just pick 3 things out of the day. I used to do a lot of things. I used to be like, oh, I want to do these 10 things the whole day. I'm going to make sure I'm productive. Bam. And then the day ends and I've just done 2.
Sometimes nothing.
Sometimes nothing. And then like, what? Oh my God. Then you feel bad, and and now you're sad. So I heard about this strategy of just do 3 things. Just put 3 things on your list that you must do no matter
Actually,
what.
few and specific.
Yes.
Few. Yeah.
You must do those 3 things no matter what. Number 1 actually is the must. Number 2, when you do number 1, number 2 is the bonus. Okay, now let me go on to number 2. Number 3 is the winners. You close it off. You become the winner for the day. So that, if I do those 3 things in the first period of the day, I can actually add other things on top of that list and say, oh, let me check this out. Let me clear this. Let me clear that. And that gives you a sense of satisfaction at the end of the day. So I just wanted to share that, to say, okay, this is how I plan my day. When I do get the opportunity to. Sometimes the day gets busy and you don't really get to plan that day out properly. Jim Rohn says, before you start the day, plan it. Before you start the week, plan it. So before you get into the week, you can't just enter the week and say, hey, I'm here.
But again, Augustine, dynamics vary. For somebody who's probably, full-time employment, you find that your day is pretty much sort of taken up, by your work schedule. Somebody who's a tamanga like you and me,
Yes.
we're able to plan our days in such a way that, you're able to execute those 3 important, goals that you've set for the day, and that is why when we talk about the wheel of life, you realize that, it's trying to strive, to help us to get to a point where, you focus on specific areas of your life and none of those areas should suffer.
See why I'm smiling? Because I think we're getting close to the same idea. So is the wheel of life that wheel where you have those specifics lined out and then you have a score?
Okay, so the way Paul Mayer sort of drove this principle, he was using a wheel that looks like one for a bicycle.
Yes.
It's got spokes that supports it to be, sort of aligned. And so what Paul is basically trying to drive is the fact that in life, you need to focus on specific areas, that should be part of this wheel. Okay, so as an individual, for example, you have aspirations, in your career. You have aspirations in terms of your finances. You have aspirations in terms of your spiritual life as well. You're also striving to ensure that your social life is equally, sort of aligned, including your physical life, how you take care of your mental, your mental aspect, your well-being, your physical. You're talking about keeping fit in the morning. And so this wheel of life basically has all the I can call them this, for me, they're the 6 key areas of my life. So it's career, spiritual, financial, social, physical, and my finance side of things. So what Paul was trying to achieve, was the fact that you've got to set specific goals in all the 6 areas of your life. Okay, and those goals have got to be achieved, because you realize that sometimes we get so busy because we are working the whole day. And especially for somebody who's in full-time employment, you're working the whole day. And remember, your day is only broken down in the 24 hours, broken down in, say, 8 hours of work, 2 hours of getting to work and back home, and then the remaining part of the day is pretty much, you're sleeping.
Yes.
And, by the time you realize that the day is gone, you've only spent the entire day working. But Paul was saying that, you've got to ensure that all your 6 areas, some have adopted about 7, 8 areas, but he came up with 6 minimal ones. And he was saying that strike a balance or set goals in all those areas. And so even for me personally, my personal development journey has been around adopting those areas. Today I'm married because I set a specific goal in my family aspirations, and in my finances as well. I set specific goals that I thought I'd be able to achieve. And so it's quite an interesting sort of principle that for me has pretty much worked. Yeah.
I believe we're talking about the same thing. So I was introduced to that wheel of life by my first boss, the first person that employed me. I was actually an intern. His name is Jorisha Chi, and he's also a genius. Jorisha, if you're out there, shout out to you. So he introduced us to that wheel of life, and what he added onto it is that every part of that wheel should have a score from 1 to 10. Yeah. So what you want to do to create balance in your life is score yourself genuinely, like be honest with yourself and score yourself 1 to 10 in all those parts. So if your finances are a 6 and your spiritual is a 3, then you're honest with yourself to say, when's the last time I actually prayed or went to church and things like that. So you do an audit and then you say, I need to put some more focus on this area. This area is looking good, but this one is not. I need to put a little bit more focus on this because I've been focusing too much on my career or something like that. And I'm ignoring family. So it gives you that kind of idea of how much progress you're making in these different areas and somehow helps you create a balance in life. Yeah, so that's how...
Exactly. And actually, the scores are very important, Augustine, because, if I'm going to use, for example, one area of my life, let's say spiritual, I score 10 because I pray every day, I read the Bible, my spiritual life is intact. And then in my finances, I score maybe 3. Out of 10, because I'm not spending my money properly. I don't budget for my expenses. I have no financial plan. It's spending abruptly, and realize that if you're gonna map, your scores, you find that you're going to get a shape that looks quite awful.
Yes.
And the wheel is supposed to be oval, 100% oval.
Yes,
So if you have a wheel that is basically, giving you a different shape, you realize that it's like you're moving in life, limping.
That's
if I would use that term,
that's a good one,
so the wheel of life is quite important because then it's striving, to help us ensure that at least, if you are giving yourself a score of 3 out of 10, let it be 3 across all the areas. Then you have a balanced life. Yes. But again, are you achieving your goals? So it then becomes very important that you strive to at least achieve a 10 score. And then ensure that you are living that sort of a balanced life. And then also for me, what becomes very important is, like you said earlier on, the self-awareness, because sometimes we don't take time, as individuals to uncover, our strengths, uncover our talents, uncover our capabilities, because you're so engrossed and you're so busy, with life, you're just busy trying to hustle, busy trying to make ends meet, but you're not uncovering areas that can actually add value, to your wheel of life. So I think for me, it becomes very important that I think also take time to really, do an like an audit, regarding your capabilities, areas of your strength, and begin to, push and, improve on those specific areas.
Yeah. Talking about, let's take a step back a bit. When we talk about personal growth, for somebody who has no idea, they've never invested themselves in personal growth, because there's people like that who they're just living their life. They don't even know that, okay, I need to do this for me to improve my life. They're just living day to day. Maybe they're also a dependent of somebody and they're being taken care of. Let's just bring it back. At what point should somebody be expected or should start their journey, personal growth? And maybe we can also share some more details on what personal growth is as a picture.
For me, Augustine, really, even like right now, for my kids, I'm trying to take them through that sort of journey, where first of all, I'm identifying what they are good at, I'm identifying talent, and for me, it starts actually even as young as you would be, and provided you are able to reason, and so it all begins from the time that you are actually very young, and being able to identify especially your talents, because talents are what also adds value to your personal growth journey, because sometimes we are not taking time to develop our talents and our abilities, because I know that God has at least deposited in each one of us a specific ability that makes you very different from everybody else, and so it begins from that particular tender age. And that's why even as parents, it becomes very important that we begin to sort of identify, the behavior that our kids are displaying, because that then should be able to help you, put in some interventions or activities that then helps your child begin to develop, those particular capabilities or those particular attributes that they are basically exhibiting. And so for me, it begins from there. And so if you're going to wait and say until you can the school, then that's when I'll start getting onto this journey of personal development to be late for you.
Wow.
Because life is presenting itself with opportunities. And it's only you who knows what you want to achieve in life.
Yes.
So you realize that even at a younger age, tender age, you're still able to plan your life very well. And because you know what you want to achieve, and so that personal development journey begins even from that particular tender age. And so for me, I would say that as young as you would be, as long as you're able to reason, but also, like I'm saying, parents play quite an important big role in that particular journey. Yeah.
Wow. I actually, while you were speaking, I realized that there's some of the most successful people, like in the area of sport, they started when they are really young.
Exactly.
And their parents started helping them to grow and teach them and coach them and find them the right places to train from. So I think it's important, really important to start when you're really young. I also started my journey when I was really young. As an artist, I realized that that's something that I'm talented with and I'm interested in and passionate about. So I kept on practicing it in every level of my school. So I guess I was lucky that I developed the talent at a young age. But there's people who noticed later on, maybe they even retired and say, oh, I can do this art thing, which is not too late. When did you realize that you have full control of your life?
I think I must have been 13. I think I must have been 13.
Wow.
Probably should have been in grade 8 or grade 9 or somewhere there. I'd actually given myself a goal that the time I reach 40, okay, I should be this very influential person in society.
Wow.
And that was at a very sort of very tender age, because those back in school those days, there were some guys that really were very good in debate. And you see this guy, young person, youngster, exploding, with serious sort of insights about how they understand things, how they are sort of arguing on specific issues that surrounds our community, and this guy is just speaking on this podium, and you're like, wow. I think I would want to equally be a person of influence, and so for me, it could have started when I should have been, I think, 13 years or somewhere there, and I actually gave myself specific things that I was working on, and that time reading was part of my journey, and for me, looking at that aspiration of being very influential. I mean, how can you be a person of influence without knowledge, without understanding how things are sort of working? And so I strive to at least read a couple of books, and that time we had like literature. We used to call it literature in English.
Yes,
And I made sure that I read all those books that were in that particular subject just for me to improve
I
myself.
was the one that struggled. I was like, how do we have to do this? I struggled.
So yeah, literature wasn't like my favorite, but I found those books quite interesting to sort of read and just give yourself that sort of ability to learn a couple of things. And I remember just besides reading, you know, I would actually stand even in front of like a microphone. You know, I'm sort of just rehearsing, you know, in terms of giving an opportunity to sort of speak to a crowd. How will I position myself? And surprisingly, that sort of culminated into, you know, this sort of interest, you know, for radio as well.
Wow.
You know, and back in those days, we used to have what we used to call the Radio 4 Fan Club. You know, guys that we have right now, the Kesha Simbewes, the Kenny Tongas, all those guys, you know, were part of that fan club. And for me, I used that opportunity as well to sort of just push myself up, to sort of improve my capabilities in sort of being somebody who can be able to sort of, you know, speak in public, speak before a crowd, and just sort of, you know, sharpen my skills in that area. Yeah, so from quite a tender age, for me, that's how my journey sort of began.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for me, actually, what happened was I was, even though I had discovered my talent and I was practicing it, when I got to university, I still was distracted a little bit. And when I say distracted, I mean I was watching a lot of stuff online that I don't have to watch.
Wow.
You know, and, you know, I was telling my lecturer, hey, do you know about this guy who's Illuminati, that? Then my lecturer was like, don't waste your time focusing too much on those things, because the more you focus on them, the more they've got you. Try to focus on something that helps you, that will grow you. Then I was like, wow, never heard anything like that. That moment changed my life. So I went back, and then I was just thinking, I've been focusing too much on this thing, and I'm letting my life go. I need to focus on putting information in my mind that actually should help me grow. You know, so I was chatting with my brother, one of my older brothers, and I was like, I've made the decision to change my life, to make sure that I know I'm in control now, and I'm going to control my life into a direction that I want. You know, I'm going to plan, I'm going to make things and think about things that I'm going to make happen, and I'll be deliberate. So that's how I realized that I was in control, and I made a decision. You know, from then, even when I was in uni, I was like, hey, I'm going to, 5 years from now, I'm going to have my own business and, you know, things like that. And that's what happened. You know, I put in the work, also planned when I should get married. I talked about it, and I was planning to get married when I was 30, and that's what happened. Actually, I was 29, turning into 30. Yeah, and that's what happened. And, you know, I realized that everything that you manifest can actually come to life. Yeah.
Exactly. And for me, what I also appreciate about, you know, the entire journey, and that's why I kept on emphasizing on the role that, you know, parents play, you know, in sort of just nurturing, you know, kids to, you know, be aligned to, you know, direction. And I remember my parents were very strict on us, and every time, you know, you're leaving home, either going to play, going to school, it will be a hard message on you. You know, you get out of this house, I don't want to hear problems while you're going, you know, and you come back home. Sometimes it will be this sort of, you think it's you're being punished, you know, offload books, and mom will just tell you, read these books, you know, and tell me the story in this book, and you're just feeling this sort of this pressure, you know. But then looking back, for me, that has also sort of played quite an important role in terms of my personal growth journey. Because I reached a point where I actually had to plan my life very well, such that even when I gave myself a timeline where I would say, okay, by this time, you know, I'll be saving so much. Because what I used to do was, every time mom or dad would give me money, I gave myself a target that whatever I was given, half of that would go into this box that I created, which was like a ballot box with just a small opening up
Yes,
there.
yes.
So every time I'm given money, half of that money goes in the box, sealed up completely, no room for me to be able to just dip my hand in whenever I have pressure for for spending. But then, my life was quite planned well. Even when I basically decided to now sort of get into college, and that time getting into a place like UNZA, CB was very competitive because of the closures, and you find that certain intakes were sort of pushed forward. And so for me, my life got planned out so well that even when I actually met that time my girlfriend, and then eventually my fiancée, and so when she basically was asking about my aspiration in life, so told about my story. And then one thing that she then asked me was, what is your vision? And I was like, what? Yeah. And so I was like, are you sure you want to know, stuff about my vision? And she was like, yeah, I'm serious about this question, And so it was a thing where, because your life is all planned out and short time, pulled out my laptop, which was, which had all my information there. My 5-year master plan is there, and so I'm running through my vision, my goals I've set in the 6 areas of my life. And she was like, "Yeah, no, I'm in."
That's nice. That's nice.
That's nice. So for me, I think if your life is well planned, well aligned, in terms of knowing what you want to achieve, setting specific, goals and objectives, and being disciplined to ensure that you execute your objectives. For me, that becomes a plus. First of all, the desire to become a better person. The discipline, to execute my goals, my objectives in life. Dedication, being dedicated to what I want to achieve, and then also my other D is basically about the drive, driving myself, my inner motivation, because sometimes we live out our inner motivation. Yeah, you want somebody to just push you and say, hey, you can make it in life. You are capable. But what about yourself? What are you telling yourself about your inner, your inner man? Are you motivating your inner man to be able to become a better, person in life? So that to me sort of defined my journey in terms of how I planned.
They say when you motivate an idiot, what you get is a motivated idiot. So motivation doesn't change a person, So it's important to look inside and know who you are and say, okay, this is, and then have your own drive, because there are people out there who are looking for motivation, but they're not necessarily, they're looking for it from the wrong places, I might say. Because you can find somebody who will come and motivate you, but motivate you in the wrong manner. And then you just grow into something that you don't want to grow into.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. That's very, to have values, it's very good to have values as a person.
Exactly. But again, you see, Augustine, there's one thing that as individuals, I think we don't take time to really sort of understanding yourself. Who are you? What impact can you create? Can you make out there? What strengths do you possess? And sometimes it's pretty much out of lack of self-confidence in yourself, because it's only when you know yourself, you know your capabilities, you know your strengths, you know the man in you. That is, for me, that is the basis to be able to actually make it in your personal growth journey.
Interesting. So let's get deeper now. So for me, how I look at it, right? When you talk about personal growth, right? You have a journey. You're looking at a journey. Where are you going, right? So for anyone who wants to venture or start their personal journey, or even just look into it with attention, with the much needed attention, I would say the first thing that you need to look at is where you're starting from and where you're going. So your destination and your starting point.
Absolutely.
So starting point being who you are and the environment that you live in. And destination is where you're going. So what kind of life do you want to live? Who do you want to get married to if you're looking at getting married? Where are you going to be staying? How impactful are you? Who do you want to be remembered for, or what do you want to be remembered for, or how do you want to be perceived by others? I think who you are, if we look at the starting point, I think who you are is who you want to be, intersected with what others, well-wishers, think of you. So who you want to become intersected with what others think of you. People who are genuine and mean well for you. If they tell you, oh, you have this habit, or you do this and you like doing this and that, and they mean well. So you take that and you intersect it with who you want to be. I'd just like to hear it from your end, how you look at it as somebody. How does somebody get to know who they are?
Yeah, you see, Augustine, people may have a different perception about you, but that's not who you are. Mm-hmm. Sometimes perception is like just an imaginary thing, about this particular individual. And for me, that's why it becomes also very important when you look at even the wheel of life, the social aspect of it. I mean, your social life, who are you accommodating in your life, in terms of personalities, people, what value are they adding, in your life? And that's why it becomes very important that, you're basically looking at even colleagues or friends that are going to add value, to your growth journey, or pretty much your life journey. And these are people that will basically even advise you basically on what is, what is prevailing in terms of a specific situation, that maybe you could be encountering. And sometimes even just giving you sort of genuine feedback, in terms of your attributes. Sometimes you may not realize that you have this particular attribute that could be a weakness on your side, which if somebody brings it out, you can utilize that particular weakness, to sort of become a better person by improving on it. You know what I mean? Yes. And so for me, even the aspect of identifying in your journey what you're trying to achieve, identifying who can be a part of my personal growth journey, who could add value to this particular aspiration, who could add value to my objectives, who could add value, in ensuring that I achieve my goals. So I think for me, it becomes very important that, first of all, once you are aware of who you are in terms of knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, then it becomes very easier for you to be able to focus now on ensuring that you enhance on your strengths, but then also converting your weaknesses, into strengths. Because sometimes those are the things regarding our weaknesses that begin to sort of bring us down. Because even when you're progressing very well in your personal growth journey, then you focus on your weakness and you be like, I think I'm not worth it. You know what I mean? And so for me, those are areas that then you also identify who could be a part of this journey, in terms of helping you be able to, make that particular weakness into something that can equally add value to your life eventually.
That's so rich. There's so much to pick from there. First thing is, I compare it to what, is part of my research. And Jim Rohn, I listen to a lot of Jim Rohn. He says, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most.
That's a good one.
So if you look at the 5 people you hang out with the most, you're the average. And I think that's part of what you have shared. When we look at the journey, the actual journey, I think there's 2 things that we I would say we should focus on, is what can get us there, and what should what can stop us from getting there. There are certain habits, for me, I believe, that we should be cultivating and growing that would get us there. But also, there are certain habits we should be letting go of or replacing. When you look at, when you say, okay, I want to be the president of this country one day, and then you have a list of your habits. Okay, my daily habits. These are my habits. Maybe I drink quite a lot. Do you think the president that you want to become should be the kind that drinks a lot? And so then you look at that habit and you say, okay, let me just replace this habit with something else that would contribute to my growth towards this goal.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think for me, when you look at that journey and how to get to that destination, which personal growth actually doesn't really have a destination.
It's an ongoing.
It's an ongoing thing.
It's an ongoing. Exactly.
It changes with time. Like you get there, and like, oh, now I'm married. I've got a family. How do I take care of this family, and how do I make it grow? Yeah. So for you to get to that point, I believe you need to look at those habits and break them down and see which ones you're going with and which ones you're not.
Yeah, and actually, Augustine, if I was to look at it in terms of maybe sort of attaching some questions to your personal life journey or your personal growth journey. I mean, you've got to answer specific questions, for example, why are you on this personal growth journey? When do you want to, to achieve this particular goal that you've set for yourself in that personal growth journey? Who will be a part of this journey that you have embarked on, who's going to give you support, who'll be there to mentor you if you need a mentor, then how are you going to get to that destination that you've set for yourself, and so for me, those are some of the questions.
That's a good thing. There's people who think of things they want, but never think about how they're going to get there.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I want this car, I want this. When I get successful, where is the success going to come from when you're not doing anything today?
Exactly. And the how thing is quite important, because then that helps you in terms of even budgeting, because when you get on a journey, you expect to spend, definitely. You expect to sort of, utilize resources, utilize money. And so the how becomes quite important, and basically that's also one of the key areas that one has got to really focus very well in that particular journey.
Yeah. When you spoke about your wife actually coming to be part of your journey, and it's interesting how she asked and you showed her and you were prepared. There's so much stuff that I can pick from there. And the first thing that I would say for ladies, and this is just for the ladies, advice for the ladies, I think that if you're going to pick a partner, a man is the driver, is the leader, is the person, the captain of the ship that you're jumping onto. You have to make sure that ship is going into the direction that you would wish to be in or want to be in.
Do you know what she said when I asked her why she asked me that question? She just went like, kunipeleka mumugodi.
No, that's really important. I think there's ladies out there who just see the lifestyle and they want to jump onto the lifestyle. Oh, he has a nice job, a nice car, a nice house, and they want to, this is the kind of person, because they want to create that perception with their families that this person has the money to take care of me, and it's not wrong for women to look at it like that, because they're designed to look for security. They want to look for security in the man, the security to take care of the family, to make sure that they will be okay. It's not wrong, but then again, it would be silly to jump onto somebody's journey without fully knowing where they're going. Yeah, so it's important that we all know and ask, hey, where is this ship going? Because then it gives accountability. Men also need to have that vision. We need to be in a space where you know where you're going. you know what the plan is.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you have no plan, then why are you getting married?
Exactly.
Why are you trying to get somebody else's daughter onto your journey when you have no plan, you have no vision, you don't even know where you're going? So basically, you're just trying to confuse her life. Yeah, and it happens a lot.
True. And that's why if you're going to approach the personal growth or personal development journey using the life wheel, you know, the wheel of life, and you're focusing on the family area of your life, it becomes very important to also note that, you see, you're planning to get married, quite all right, and then you know it's two different sort of personalities coming together. And remember, before that marriage, you are driving your own personal growth journey. Your wife could also be driving her own personal development journey, because you are two different people with different capabilities. And remember, when you get together in marriage, yes, like you said rightly, you know, the man then gives direction in terms of how this, you know, how things have got to sort of be aligned, direction, you know, and so direction that you are both going to agree on. But remember, you are also driving, you know, areas of your strength. You're driving your talents, and you realize that even the way God would match you, you may not have the same or the same sort of capabilities or strengths. You realize that you are always complementing each other.
Yes.
You know, your areas of strength could be areas of weakness. You know what I mean? And so you realize that even when you get together, you know, your personal journey, your personal growth journey is complemented by, you know, her coming into your life.
Yeah.
You know, so
And that's how it always is.
that's how it works. Yeah.
Yes,
You know, and you realize that if you had similar sort of capabilities, similar strengths, it would just be it'd be explosion, really. It'll be problems. True. Yeah, because every time you're not agreeing on a couple of things.
Everybody knows how to do it better.
Exactly.
No, it's this way, it's that way.
So somebody, Augustine, actually may ask you, and these are questions that I also probably get, you know, what has made you successful?
Wow.
Because I mean, it's all about, I mean, for you to be successful, I mean, you probably had a plan.
Wow.
You know, you went through this personal growth journey, because I mean, you're growing, and life is about growth. You don't want to reach a point where you're comfortable, you know, because even as much wealth as you're gonna acquire, Augustine, but you still have this desire to keep growing.
Yes.
You know, in terms of knowledge, in terms of just making your life even more better.
Yes,
but if somebody was to ask you, what has made you successful, if we're to link it with our personal growth journey?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. I think firstly, I'll just define what success is for me, because I believe it's different for all of us. I think being in a position to run a business is success on its own. Being in a space where you're not struggling for food every single day is a success on its own. Being married, you know, having a family, running a family, having to be in a position to support my parents, you know, that's a success. So if I may answer the question, what has made me successful, based on that, I think determination, consistency, and knowing what exactly I want out of life, making the decision daily. I think life has daily decisions that push you into a certain direction. Me being in a space where I've been privileged to be able to do higher learning and higher education, you find that there are certain individuals that come from different families, and you're raised differently, and then you start appreciating how you were raised, and you see people that are making decisions that are pushing them onto the wrong path, and just a snippet of a decision can actually put you into the wrong space. You know, I've had somebody who walked up to me and said, "Hey, there's this guy. He has a safe somewhere. There's a lot of money in it. You know, he knows the password and whatnot. You know, we can go and get that money. it's about $300,000, and all you have to do is just wait outside for us and whatnot. We can do
Not Quachas.
we can do it on Friday. So I was like, bro, I don't even know why you're looking at me thinking you woke up to me with that kind of plan, and I will say yes. I didn't hear what you said. This conversation didn't happen. Yeah, this conversation didn't happen between us. If you want to go ahead, that's up to you. I'm out of this. But I don't think I should be doing that, and that's not part of my life journey. So there's those decisions that you have to make every single day, and that person ended up not doing it. And they were thankful that I was in that space saying, hey, I'm not going to do this. Because I don't think they calculated the whole outcome. Because the person, that money was for somebody who is a drug dealer. And that drug dealer, how somehow drug dealers sometimes deal with the police. He's not going to let go. You find out his money is gone.
Exactly.
And then, somehow somebody sees you. And then your whole family is disappointed. They've been working so hard to just get you through university and through the education. And now you're in the space where you've been arrested or you've been killed or tortured and things like that. And that pushes you back. So what has made me successful is really just trying to stay on the right path and make the right decisions all the time. Even when I am limited in resources, I still have that hope. I still have that faith. Yeah, and then there's God as well. Just having faith in God. There's that conversation you have with God and say, God, this is my plan here, and things are not going so well, but I know you're going to get me there. At least let me not focus on the negative. Let me focus on the positive. I know you're going to get me there. You keep praying every single day. I think that's what has made me successful.
Yeah, I mean, what you're just saying is profound, and somebody actually said this to me, that success is defined as doing something consistently. Okay, and I know that for you to be able to to get onto this personal growth journey, yes, you're gonna hit a snag, you're gonna probably hit barriers, you hit challenges, dynamics of life are changing by the day. I don't know how you've managed to sort of cope around some of those dynamics around things that may just stand as a barrier. Just sort of to impact your consistency of doing doing something.
Every day you have a new challenge, eh?
Every day.
Yeah, they say, how they say new levels, new devils, and new challenges. So every day you have something coming up that is trying to stop you from achieving, or you had some hope, and then let's look at it from this perspective. You have a client and they tell you, oh, next week we'll make a payment, or tomorrow make the payment. I've quickly learned not to plan, according to that payment, because now the payment doesn't come on the time they promised you, and then everything is just disturbed. So for me, I have learned to be flexible. I think it comes down to the pattern of my life, because my parents really worked hard, and thanks to them, they made sure that we had an experience of growth. Coming from a space where we had less, I wouldn't say nothing, but less. Where I grew up, Uganda was struggling in the war, and I just got lucky that I came when the war has ended, and there was still some, as a child, there was still some soldiers, this it was a bit stable. What's the word? Unstable. Yeah, it was still unstable. Because I remember soldiers came to the house, and the way I don't know what they wanted, and then they had to hide us and stuff like that. But coming from that to my parents working so hard and getting into schools that I believe at that point were not the very best schools. Maybe if you look at the standard now, you're like, oh, that's the worst school that anyone could go to. But they struggled to say, okay, let's put them in the school. They were always trying to do better. And even when they put us in, the schools that they were not happy with, they didn't have all the information, But I've had a spectrum that is very wide, from experiences that are considered to be the worst to experiences that are considered to be the best. And traveling the continent, the world, to those kind of experiences. And my dad always made sure that exposure was one thing that he would give us. So for me, being flexible came from that. You can put me in a situation where I don't have money and I'm calm. You can put me in a situation where somebody is literally shouting down on my head, hey, you said you're gonna, and I'm very calm, because I know that my calmness is what's gonna help me solve the problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. That sort of reminds me that, I think we all have the power actually to sort of, I think, define the lifestyle we want to lead. And that's why even when you probably bring it down to your personal growth journey, it's also about realizing that you're a powerful person, you're a powerful being, and sometimes we get limited because of what maybe we've gone through, some of the memories that maybe you have carried through, become also like a barrier. But then when you get up and say, hey, I have the ability, I have the power, to be the person I want to be, that to me also becomes, I think, a mentality and an attitude that can help you, I think, propel your life better.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm just trying to imagine just that sort of such memories. I mean, I don't know how you managed to cope with such.
Yeah, it's there's one time actually we were in Nigeria with my dad and my two other brothers, and I remember we almost got shot.
Wow.
Yeah, we almost got shot on the road because there was somebody who was supposed to go to court. And like a wanted person was supposed to go to court. And there was a chance that they were going to escape. So the police, during rush hour, decided to take the lane that we were on, the other lane, because they were stuck in traffic. In Nigeria, people drive on the right. On the left. Yeah. So is it left here or?
Actually, we drive on
Nigeria,
the left.
It's on the right.
On the right, yeah.
Yeah. So we were on the right path to go to school. They drop us off to school, and then my dad would go to work. But this side there was so much traffic, so the police decided to come this side. And if you've heard about the police in Nigeria, those guys just shoot. So if you get into their way, if you follow them during the patrols, they'll just shoot you.
Wow.
Yeah. So and that's why there was a riot and all that stuff. So our driver got shocked. Like he didn't know what to do. The car was coming fast towards us with the siren and everything. And he was just stuck in the middle of the road. So these guys started thinking, and they're shooting everywhere. These guys think we're blocking them. And they start pointing their guns at us. My dad just pulled the steering wheel to the side of the road.
Wow.
That's how it actually just passed. Yeah. And everything was just like, oh my God. Like we took a moment, we're just like, what just happened? What just happened?
It's like a movie.
It's like a whole movie, And you're like, wow. And then as a kid, you don't really see it for what it's worth. You don't really see it. You're confused. You're scared. You're like, oh my God, so action and all that stuff. But as a parent, you can see how it has affected him to say, this is I have to go through this with my family so that I can take care of them, for them to have the life they need to have. At that point, we were going through all that stuff, not knowing how much sacrifice he was making for us to be in that space.
Wow.
Even at work, because he had fired some people, we got threats. They would send threats to the house. Yeah, we know where your family is and all that kind of stuff, because he had fired some corrupt people. But for me, looking at it from now, looking backwards, that's a standard I should live by. So I'm blessed to have, parents of that nature, where I can look back at their lives and say, hey, this is what my dad did in this situation. This is what he was standing for. I need to stand for this. Yeah.
Wow, that's quite an intriguing sort of for me it also sort of reminds me, I think, two books that that Paul Meyer has written. The Guru in Personal Development. I mean, there's one book that is titled Attitude is Everything.
Yeah.
And then the other book is titled Unlocking Your Legacy.
Yes.
And if you look at how Paul is basically trying to emphasize on the attitude that you've got to exhibit or display in your personal growth journey, in your life journey. I mean, this is attitude that, should sort of be aligned to you being positive in everything that surrounds you.
Yes.
And also for you to leave a legacy.
Yes.
You need to have that right attitude, because you can never leave a legacy if basically you look at life in the negative. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it becomes quite interesting that you see some of those dynamics of life that we've gone through, have not been easy. I mean, yes, they probably bring a couple of maybe sad memories, but again, what sort of attitude are we applying, even as those dynamics of life begin to remind us of the past? And I think what becomes very important in that personal growth journey is just how you align yourself in terms of being positive, just being determined about what you want to achieve. I think basically having direction. Because you're on this direction, and so you have to be, just being very careful that on this journey I'm on, this is the road I'm on, this is where I want to reach. So there may be other deviations, that may come along the way, and then how do you then handle? Do you still want to try out the other road that maybe the shorter route to your destination and things in that regard? So I think for me it becomes very important that I think we apply the right attitude in our personal growth journey, and also just being focused in the direction that you've basically taken.
Well, it's I don't think we can finish the whole topic personal growth in just one session.
Like you said, personal growth is a journey. It's a never ending journey. So even this conversation can still
you can still go on. But I hope that the people who are listening to this or watching it have got some insight on how to start their journey, or even just motivation somehow for them to continue through their journey. My desire is just to assist just one person, with their journey. Just make sure that they see it from a different perspective. Some of the times we're still saying the same things that other people have said, but because we're African, somebody African out there would relate to it and say, oh, this is something I can do as well. And maybe to conclude, I want to share one thing that I think that we should also pay attention to is how we see ourselves when put in certain situations, that are seemingly out of our world or above us. I think it's important to see ourselves with an open mind. Sometimes we think, oh, I can't achieve this because I'm from, this place, how am I supposed to achieve that or that, and we think that somebody else is supposed to achieve that. And I would like to just encourage people out there to change their mindset about the things that they want to achieve. You see somebody with a nice car and you say, obviously they stole it. Obviously they are corrupt. So you miss out on the chance to go and speak to that person, to ask them, hey, how can I achieve this as well? How did you achieve it? If they don't want to tell you, then maybe there's something wrong, because there's people who have genuinely achieved their goals are always ready to share with somebody else. They always want to tell somebody else who really wants to hear, how they've achieved their goals. So I would encourage us to change our mindset, around money, a mindset around wealth and achievement. You can do it too. Anybody can do it. If Obama can do it, you can do it. You just need to find out, what did Obama do to do it? And you do that. The human mind is so powerful. It's so powerful, and we should not underrate it. Yeah.
Very powerful. I mean, very, very powerful. I mean, your sharing for me also just reminds us that, you see, who we are is not determined by how people think about us or how people look at us, but I think who we are is basically determined by the choices we make in life.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you're going to, tell yourself that I'm going to make the right choices, that then defines basically who you are, because the choices you make, basically culminate into some evidence that then just begins to sort of bring out who you really are.
Yes.
And so for me, I would encourage somebody out there, that don't look down on yourself, don't look down on your capabilities, focus on your strengths, develop, your talents, do the things you love to do. And I mean, you inspire me, Augustine, even you with your artistic, your artistic, the way you're just artistic about things. Yeah. Sometimes you and me are conversing on WhatsApp, and then you just convert it into some artistic impression.
Wow, yes. Thanks for that. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And thank you for being part of this project.
Awesome.
So we'll close it. Even if we don't want to, we'll close it here, and we'll see you on the next episode. Watch out for it on all the channels, YouTube, LinkedIn. You can also check it out on the podcasts on Spotify and iTunes. Thank you.